anyway, thank you guys all for watching tonight. I'm so excited to introduce to you Robyn. Many of you know her, maybe some of you don't. But Robyn Sandoval is the executive director of A Girl and a Gun, and she's a firearms instructor, NRA, USCCA, Rangemaster, and AG certified, a range safety officer, and is trained under many notable instructors. She competes in several sports and disciplines and is the managing editor for Women and Guns magazine, a frequent speaker at national conferences and podcasts on gun-related issues. She also serves on the board of directors of the DC Project and meets with members of Congress. She was on the cover of Time magazine, y'all, and her story is on display at the Buffalo Bill Center of the West Museum in Cody, Wyoming. For her advocacy work, she has been honored with the Defender of Liberty Award from the Second Amendment Foundation. So let's welcome Robyn onto the show. Hey, Robyn.
Hi, Laura. Thanks for inviting me on.
You bet. Well, this is actually the second time that you've been on, Robyn. The first time, I think it was last summer, last fall, and I had some technical difficulties, but you rolled with the punches so well with me, and I appreciate that. So, and the fact that you decided to come back. So I thank you for doing that despite the technical difficulties last time.
Oh, of course. I mean, technical difficulties happen to all of us, and I always like spending time with you guys at Defenders USA. So anytime, I'm always here for you.
Yeah, we have a good time, don't we? So let's start at the beginning here. I want to go over a little bit of like the title of the show was Advocacy, Leadership, and Pursuing Your Passion. And so we're going to touch a little bit on each one of those. And so let's start with A Girl and a Gun. And so if I remember correctly from talking with you previously, it was started 12 years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
Okay, so it started 12 years ago. So how has A Girl and a Gun, first of all, maybe a quick synopsis of what it is for anybody that doesn't know, but how has it developed over the years from when it started to now?
It's so different. We have had such a journey. So, A Girl and a Gun, for those of you who don't know, we are a membership organization for women. We have recurring events at more than 300 ranges across the country where girls can have girls' night out at the range. We love shooting with our guys, but there's just something different when women mentor other women and when women instructors can impart their knowledge on women students. It just helps really raise women up, and it just has a completely different experience and camaraderie and all kinds of fun. So, on the local level, we have that going on at recurring ranges. We have over 350 events every month. And then on the national level, we have retreats, getaways. We specialize in different activities. We have our national conference, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll have
Mm-hmm.
600 students there. We also will be returning to Grand Junction to cameo with the Defenders team in September for our sniper school. So, we're just regular moms going out and putting on ghillie suits and shooting over a mile and a half away, just regular mom stuff. So we do that too. And then we have in June, we're hosting our Drift Academy, which is all things vehicle defense. So it's everything from muck, NOC, managing unknown contacts at a close distance, non-lethal, how to get to those transitional spaces that can be really vulnerable to women, like parking lots, parking garages, um, you know, anytime any of those transitional spaces. So we're going to address how to take that from the very beginning with using your words, using your situational awareness, using your non-lethal, all the way up to shooting in and around the vehicle, and then getting in the car and going on the track and doing some high-speed evasive driving. So I'm really excited about that
Oh my
event.
gosh,
So that's
that's
how A Girl in
awesome.
the Gun. Yeah, so that's how A Girl in the Gun has grown. 12 years ago, we
Yeah.
just started with 5 girls at the range getting together to learn how to shoot, and now we're doing really incredible, really kind of mind-blowing things. But I figure if I want to learn it, I'm sure there's some other woman that
Yeah.
wants to learn it,
Someone else
and
to,
then it's just
yeah.
kind of grown.
That's really awesome, and we're gonna talk about the
Mm.
national conference a little bit later. I have not a like a presentation, but a few screenshots from the website that I wanted to show. So we're gonna go into that a little bit later, but so the, Girl and a Gun, yeah, definitely a lot of stuff going on. I don't know how you manage all of that, and that will be something we'll be going on into later too. But, I wanna jump over to the DC project. So could you
Mhm.
explain how you got involved, why, and what is the DC project? I'm interested to know.
So my friend Diana Muller, excuse me, pardon me one second.
Time out.
Time out. Okay. So my friend Diana Muller was meeting with her member of Congress from the state of Oklahoma in DC. And she thought, wouldn't this be great if there was a one woman from every state who went into her congressman's office and talked about our gun rights? How can we make that happen? Because you have to be a constituent to have these meetings. And so she reached out to us because we have women in all 50 states. And so she asked if I could help her find these women who were willing to go to DC. So she called it the DC Project. And so we've been doing that for several years now. I think 6 years. It's 5 years. It's been a while. We've been doing it a long time. So
Mhm.
once a year, we go to DC and we bring a group of women and we wear teal to counteract the visual of the Moms Demand Action groups, because so many women are there with their red shirts demanding that legislators take our rights. And it's really important that the women on our side of the aisle speak up about that. So I go into the congressman's office and they think we're there to talk about gun violence. And I tell them that the women that demand to take our rights don't speak for women like me. And there's moms out
Mm.
there like me that just want to protect our families. And so we're able to have that conversation. And it's so important that women lead their voice to that cause, because it's a different perspective. When women can talk about the right to protect myself and my family, it really pulls at the heartstrings of the other side.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it gets us into deeper and more meaningful conversation than kind of the old school, out of my cold dead hands, that doesn't really fly anymore. So
Mhm.
being passionate about protecting your children seems to be the message that resonates with a lot more people. So we're hoping to get a lot more voices to share that with us.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was gonna ask you about was how do you advocate for people to reach out to family or friends who may not be gun friendly? And it sounds like that you already gave me that answer, but
Well, there's a lot of
that's
we have
really
a
what
lot of
it's about.
resources. Yeah, and DC Project, we put together some resources, some talking points. We put out a really great flyer for Thanksgiving. So if you're going to Thanksgiving dinner with your anti-gun friends, here are some things to talk about. Your anti-gun
Mhm.
family. Here are some topics on how you can maybe change some hearts and minds over the dinner table. Because I've always said that marksmanship skills are earned at the range, but hearts and minds are changed at the dinner table. And that's where we need to have those meaningful conversations. And it's really about planting seeds. I was
Mhm.
anti-gun for most of my life, strongly vocally anti-gun for most of my life. And I found that the best way to open other people's eyes is just to plant seeds, talk about my passion, talk about the love I have for my children. It's not about the
Mhm.
love I have for my guns. It's the love I have for the people in my life, and that's why I have the guns. And once you can kind of frame that conversation for them, it changes the narrative.
Well, I think it's a lot about finding common ground, right? And there's
Absolutely.
not a lot of that going on right now. There needs to be more of it, I believe. So I think what you're doing is so important and so valuable. And you did talk a little bit about how A Girl and a Gun has really grown over the last 12 years. And so with that, I can imagine a lot more responsibility. But I'm curious to know, what do you believe it takes to build a great organization, but then not only build it, but maintain it and continue a growth pattern throughout? I mean, what do you think are some of the things that a person needs or a team needs in order to do something like that?
That's a really difficult question because I've been fortunate over the past 12 years. I had a business partner. Juliana was in the trenches with me. A Girl in the Gun was her idea, and together we built this amazing organization. And she stepped out last year. So this is really my first year at the helm. Flying it solo. But I would say that over the years, the reason it's grown is because um, we've done things the right way. We've tried to teach things to a high quality. We've tried to execute things in a way that is effective and always focused on quality. So when women come to us and want to learn to shoot, we make sure that we're giving them proper instruction. We're giving them the right tools they need to really advance in their training, a solid foundation so that they can launch from anything that Adam might have going on or that their local range might have going on. We give them a solid foundation and the confidence to be educated consumers. So I think that's the important thing, is recognizing our lane. There's every
Mhm.
day men come to us and say, "Oh, I want to have all the things that you guys do. I want to do a sniper school and I want to do a drift academy. And it's really, it's very, tempting to want to cater to men who are awesome guys. We have a lot of men here in Texas. A lot of men have moved here from California and other places. And they're like, hey, I can't tell the guys at work that I've never gone hunting. I can't tell the guys that are all Texans here that I don't know any of this stuff. Can you
Mm-hmm.
girls teach me? And they want to come to our events because there's no ego. You can just be
Mm-hmm.
where you are in your journey, and there's no ego. And a lot of times that can be intimidating. So there's times when I want to have those events, but at the end of the day, I have to look at our resources and what our mission is and stay true to who a girl in the gun is. And it's women mentoring other women. And as much as it's a heart mission and I want to train everybody and I want to have everybody have all the fun and excitement and opportunities and knowledge that we have at the range, I'm fortunate to be able to partner with other friends that offer those events for other people. And I can focus on really making an impact in the women's lives.
That's awesome. Well, let's dive in really quickly to the national conference. So, I just pulled some screenshots off the website. If you guys want to look at this, Adam, I think I put the website in the banners there, but it's April 27th through the 30th in Grand Junction. Take it away, Robyn.
Well, conference is amazing. We have 4 pillars in A Girl and a Gun: education, recreation, competition, and community. And we try to incorporate those 4 pillars into everything we do. And conference is really the essence of that. We have training on all platforms: pistols, rifles, shotguns. We make it fun. Everybody has a great time. We do a lot of competition. We have different activities where people can learn to
Wait a
compete.
second. Does that say dance party?
Yes, we have lots of fun. And, and then we have most of all community, and that's these women. Will have 600 students out there, 100 and I forget how many instructors, 160 instructors, I think 130
Wow.
instructors, 600 students. It's just everything, whether you're a defender, a competitor, or just want to have fun at the range with other women, A Girl and a Gun is for you. So these are some of the events that we've done. So we shoot from the ground, we shoot from the helicopter, pistols, rifles, shotguns. If you think it, we do it. We have legal classes, knife defense, ground fighting, optics discussions, long range. I mean, if you think it, we do it. It's pretty amazing. And I'm so honored and grateful that these experts are coming to share their time and knowledge with our girls.
That's a lot of people. How many
And those
girls
are
are going to be there this year?
600.
Wow. Adam, I see your name on there. That's awesome. See, I told you he'd pop on the screen.
Yeah, Robyn, I'm getting to come teach at your conference again this year. I'm so looking forward to it. Hey, can you tell us the evolution of this? I think you were doing it in Texas and now you're doing it in Colorado. Can you give us the evolution of the conference?
Yeah, back in 2012, Juliana had this idea to give modular training. She had been with some different instructors and she found, I mean, back then it was, if we went to a class, we were the only women in that class, like hard stop. There were
Right.
so few women training at more, not even advanced, but just in certain circles. And so we thought, if we can get these women to a place where these instructors will come and give them 3 hours so that they can understand it's not scary, you can do it. Here's the gear you need. Here's the way the line is run. Just a little bit of knowledge, kind of a sizzle reel, an advertisement of what this class with someone like Tom Givens or Masada Ayub or Adam Winch, what that might be like, and how it's not intimidating. And so we had our first conference. It sold out with 100 women. We were so excited to get 100 women, and it was in just outside of Waco, Texas. And then we moved it a couple years later to a different venue in Texas, and then we moved it a couple years later to another venue because we grew, and then yeah, we outgrew all the ranges in Texas. And so we met Walt at a SHOT Show. Lanny Barnes introduced us to Walt Prue, and he said, "You need to come check out Cameo." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Colorado, it's so far. How are we going to get our stuff there?" I'm thinking like logistics, how many trailers is that going to take? And he's like, "Well, just come out and see it." And so we flew out there like a week after SHOT Show. We just met him. We flew out there and looked at it, and we're like, "Okay, yeah."
Isn't it the most beautiful place in the world? And it's perfect for that huge amount of ladies to go to.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was so impressed the first year, the second year I taught there, how huge that was. for you guys. I mean, just a massive complex, and you guys take up the entire place. I mean, it's one of the largest footprint ranges in America, and you're taking up every square foot.
Yeah, we have 61 training sessions simultaneously happening. So 61 training areas of
Wow.
classes going on at the same time. So Walt is very gracious, but it's not just Walt. It goes beyond. I mean, it is so much because of Walt. Because when you go to that facility and you work at a facility that is loved and designed and managed by a shooter, it makes a difference. Like you can tell when you do this all the time and you go to ranges all the time, like we do. When you walk into a facility that is the out of the brain of a shooter who's passionate about what we do, it makes a difference. And so right away we could tell. And so yeah, it allows us to do long range and clays and pistols and rifles and everything in between. It's pretty incredible. And not just Walt, but his whole team that's there. Then they have a whole bunch of volunteers that are there. All the guys that shoot there regularly, they're IDPA
Yeah.
guys and everything. They come out in RSO for our event. So it's really all hands on deck for that whole community. It's just so amazing for a girl in the gun. We've like I said, we've had our conference at different places around Texas, and when we went to Cameo, not just the range, but the whole community, the whole
Yeah.
city of Grand Junction welcomed us. They turned the whole airport into a girl in a gun. They
Right.
put up signs all throughout the airport. It's
Really?
insane how that whole community has embraced us, and they love having the gun girls there.
Well,
So
it's interesting to me to watch that the heart comes from the leadership from the head, right? It's the same thing I see with AGAG, right? The heart, the leadership is right, so therefore the people are right, the organization right. Same thing with Cameo, right? Walt is just incredible, world-class shooter in his own right, and not only that, one of the best humans I've ever met. So therefore, it's translated all the way down to bringing in those right kind of people. Hey, I want to just real quick, and I want to get out of you and Laura's hair, but I want to tell you how much I admire what you're doing, right, with the ladies. Understand, right? Come from the cop world, right? Who's going to become the victims of crime? More often than not, it's going to be the lady. So for me, the perspective that you're stepping out into and really just appealing to the lady crowd that we oftentimes have a hard time doing as guys, you're being able to build far more defenders within within the ladies that we might never be able to touch. And I just can't tell you how much I admire what you're doing and how you've exploded on a national level to where you're affecting more people than people like me ever could.
well, thank you, Adam, for that. Thank you for recognizing the work that we're doing. Because I tell you, I have conversations all the time with ranges that don't get it. They don't understand that women mentoring other women is a positive thing. They think that um, that the guys can do the training, which is true. And there's a lot of great guys out there. I've trained with the most amazing instructors. But when you have a new gun owner who's coming into a gun store that she would never have stepped foot in before, if not for a girl in the gun, she would not have any reason to go in there if she didn't know that there was a group of women there willing to welcome her. It definitely makes a difference. And we see that trend all over the country. We see that we have
Yeah.
metrics and statistics that prove it. But there's some ranges that just don't see the value. There's still some good old boy networks, and we're tearing them all down. Every time I go to a conference now, I go to a class, and I'm not the only woman there. I go to a conference, and there's more women there, and I'm like, this is amazing. 12 years ago, that was not the case, and not to take credit for it. There's a lot of women doing good work, but I know that a girl in the gun has made a significant impact in that.
Well, there's a tiger below that quiet, gentle facade you have. So thank you. I'll step out.
That's awesome. So then, Robyn, if somebody wanted to go, not this year, but next year, because you're sold out for this year, right?
Yeah, we sold out in 6 hours. I turned
Right.
it on. I turned it on at midnight, and I went to bed, and I woke up at 6, and it was sold out. So girls set their
Wow.
alarms to get up in the middle of the night and register. It was, yeah,
That is
it's
so cool.
pretty amazing. So to come to our conference, you have to be a Girl in the Gun member. You have to be female. You have to be a member of our club, and then you have to register on September 1st.
Simple enough.
Yep.
Okay. Well, cool. All right. So you said nothing was off limits. So I'm going to go,
Okay.
I'm going to go a little sideways. Nothing bad though. But guys, do keep in mind that we are going to have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions for Robyn, drop those in the comments and we'll be getting to those here in a little bit. But so Robyn, you wear many hats, right? And I really admire you for this we call it the spinning plate theory, right? And I juggle lots of things in my life too, but I don't know. You have a lot of different roles, as a mom, as a wife, as a leader, and a lot of people really look up to you, admire you, and depend on you for lots of things. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about that. And one of the comments you made when we were on the phone the other day was that you were living your dream. You said those words, you were living your dream. And so that really kind of got me right here. And I thought, I'd really like to explore that a little bit more. I'd like to explore, when you said that, when did you realize you were living your dream? And how did you go about pursuing that? And how can you encourage others to do the same?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, but it kind of goes
Yeah,
back.
that's okay.
My whole life goes back to 2015. It was April 9th, 2015, and my 5-year-old wasn't feeling well, and I knew something was wrong. She had just turned 5. So we went and got an MRI, and we thought, okay, we'll get some answers. We'll make some decisions. Conference was a week away, so you know, we'll go through conference and then we'll come back and deal with what we have to do. And her brain was herniating. She was dying, and they said, don't even wake her up. Take her in your arms. The surgeon has been called. She's going straight into emergency surgery. She had a 5.5 centimeter brain tumor, and she was
Oh
dying.
my gosh.
And that kiss, as she went into surgery on April 9th, I thought that was the last time I would ever see her. So excuse me, that changes everything about who you are as a person and
Mhm.
as a club and as a businesswoman. It changed the club. It changed A Girl and a Gun in many intrinsic ways. That was when our journal values were established because I wasn't at conference. I had to literally say, here are the spreadsheets, you guys, here's the team, y'all do your thing. Um, and so that was a really great way for other people to step into leadership roles. It was also a great way for our leaders to establish what the values of A Girl and a Gun was. Like at the end of the day, what really matters. And so
Mhm.
there's 12 letters in A Girl and a Gun, and there's 12 months of the year. And so our leaders identified values that they felt A Girl and a Gun represented. And every month we take a look at those values and remind ourselves how to live those values. So A is accepting, G is gracious, I is impactful, R is real, being real, L is learning. So right now in the month of April, we're being real. That's our value, being your authentic self. And I think having these values with A Girl and a Gun is something that we live. It's not just a marketing slogan. Our tagline is it's more than shooting because it came out of that experience.
Mhm.
Kiara was in the hospital and she was still in ICU, but she was stable. And my mother-in-law stayed with her, and my husband and my mom drove me out to conference so I could say hi to the girls. And I went into the tent. They knew I hadn't like eaten or showered or left a room in like 7 days or something. And or maybe yeah, it was about a week, 9 days maybe. So I was kind of a zombie, and no one talked to me. They just brought me a plate of food, and everybody was there, kind of like a we got your back kind of thing. And someone came over
Mhm.
and said, you need to come outside. I stood up and I said, I just wanted to come out and say hi. I wanted to see you guys. And someone goes, Robyn, you need to come outside. And there was a rainbow over the tent. And
Mm.
it was one of those moments in A Girl and a Gun that everybody there started crying. I mean, this was back when our conference was probably, I don't know, 300 people. And it was just everyone felt that presence, that everything was going to be okay, that we're there for each other. And that's where our motto, it's more than shooting, came from. So being real this month, in the month of April, it's about being authentic, being your authentic self. My kids are kind of feral because I travel a lot. I travel a lot, and it takes the whole family to make this happen. And I thank my
Yeah.
kids all the time for giving me the chance to go and live my dream and to train women and to go get training for myself and to go do the things I do. Tomorrow I'm leaving town for 3 weeks, which is the longest I've been away. So it definitely takes a toll on the home front, but I'm so grateful to have my husband who stands by me, my mom that comes and helps with the kids, my kids that understand. They're 13 and 16 now, so they're okay with me going. It's still hard though, and
Yeah.
but it just you can't do it on your own, and living those values and allowing other people. I always say to our girls, if I can be authentically me and you can be authentically you, then we can connect on a real level and we can
Mhm.
both live our best life together. Nobody's
Yeah.
pretending to be anything. They're not. I mean, Adam was like, "Yeah, but under the facade, you're all tough." I'm really just a regular mom, and I have this passion for training, and it's the same that you have, and it's the same that everyone else has. And the great thing about A Girl and a Gun is it's just other women like me that want to work with us together,
Mhm.
and we're all in this together. It's pretty incredible. So, and I'm just at the foot of the mountain. I have so many dreams, so many hopes and dreams for A Girl and a Gun. I have plans for the future. We have a 5-year, 10-year business plan. Like, there's so many things I want to do and things I want to, ways I want to grow. But when your daughter is going through chemo, when your little 6-year-old is taking weekly infusions, and you realize, if I hadn't left that day job, I would be sitting in a cube and I wouldn't be with her right now. And
Mhm.
so the gun industry has given me this. A Girl in the Gun has given me the ability to be there for my kids when they need me, to make an impact in other women's lives, for them to impact mine. It's just, it's
Mhm.
so much more than shooting. Sorry,
Yeah, and I think
not to be all cheesy about it.
it's not cheesy at all. I think a lot of people can relate to that, and one of the things that I love about what you do is I've heard a lot of instructors say this too, that when they really are giving fully of themselves to their students, they're getting so much in return that I don't think the students realize, you know? It's a two-way street, and so it sounds like that's what's happening with you with the organization as well. You get just as much out of it as you give, and that's the way it should be.
I legitimately love these women. I love where they are in their journeys. I love that they come new and they might be, you know, 71 years old and have never shot before, and they're feeling a little more vulnerable, but they have a little more time, they have a little
Mhm.
more money, and they want to feel
Mhm.
that. And I'm like, "Come on,
Mhm.
sister. Let's go. Like,
Mhm.
we'll do this." And they feel the
Mhm.
strength
Oh,
and
those are my girls. I love
the
those
vigor,
girls.
yes, that they've never
Yeah.
had before, and people do things that they never thought they could do
Yeah.
before. And Renee, I'm talking to you right now,
Mhm.
getting on planes all the time. Renee didn't wanna travel, she was scared to travel, and now she's taken 2 cross-country trips by herself.
Wow.
People are just, it's not about the gun, it's about the experience that the gun allows people to have. Getting to
Mhm.
training, traveling, meeting other people, going to new places, it's just, it changes lives.
Yeah, it truly does, and I've always thought that the gun is just the vehicle to self-improvement, to self-confidence, to learning. Of course, there's lots of skill building going on, but there's so much camaraderie and networking and friendships made, lifelong friendships. I mean, some of my friends I've made in the gun community, are lifelong friends, there's no doubt about it. I mean, they're your diehards, right?
It's so amazing too, because, and especially with the women's organization, and I hear all the time that we're all women that never hung out with other women. We're all the women
Yeah.
that hung out with guys or did guy
Yeah.
things. But when
Mhm.
you're in a different place where everybody can relate on a value level, and we want to protect ourselves, we want to protect our families, we want to be better people, we want to just be a step above, in our
Mhm.
lives, and nobody has time for anything less. And when you're surrounded
Mhm.
by that, it's just so amazing. Like, now having girlfriends, Shelly Hill and Stephanie Widener, we always talk about how we never had girlfriends before. And now
Yeah.
Shelly left me a voicemail the other day. Just, "You don't have to call me back. Just wanted you to know you're doing great." Like, it's just
Aw.
having friends like that that understand what you're going through, and
Yeah.
don't ask of you, but just, I mean, I've got
Right.
so many of those girls. Like, I could give you I could list out names, just keep coming, of women who do that to me on a regular basis, who say, "I know you're working hard on conference. You're in my prayers today." Like, I can't
Yeah.
tell you what that means to me.
Yeah.
The thoughtfulness of other people. And that's what keeps me going.
Well, that is so refreshing because there is, there's a lot of not so thoughtful things sometimes on social media and other things that we see, and so, um, it is really nice and refreshing to know that, hey, we've got a tight group of people here that we can rely on and count on and know that they have our best interest at heart and we have their best interest at heart, and we can trust them and honor them and have fun, you know? And that's really nice, because I was one of those girls too, man, hanging out with the guys all the time because I didn't have a lot of girlfriends either. I don't know if that's just like a prerequisite or what, but,
I think so. I
anyway,
think we're a type.
I guess. I don't know. But anyway, okay, well, we're gonna go in the Q&A here shortly, guys, so if you have questions, pop those in the comments. I have one more question here for you, unless Adam, thinks of something, which he might. So you did speak about your daughter briefly, but I wanted to ask you, in general, what is Robin's strategy for when life throws you curveballs? How do you suggest other people deal with curveballs in their life?
That's really changed a lot over the years. I think with some of the things I've really had to rely on other people. And it sounds really silly, but for me, from 2015 to probably 2017, when we were really in the, really fight for Kiara's life, um, Facebook was a huge support for me, which is kind of backwards and ironic,
Hmm.
but it was those moments when I was in the children's hospital in the middle of the night, you're hearing nothing but beeps and alarms and the helicopter landing and knowing somebody's worst day of their life. And it's just all
Mm.
these feelings. And I would post on Facebook, feeling kind of scared right now, or, you know, feeling kind of worried about something. And it didn't matter what time of day, somebody would be there. I'm there for you. I'm there with you. You're in my heart.
Mm.
You got my prayers. Like just having that connection with other people was really uplifting for me. And I
Mhm.
think that was a real beginning of a growth pattern too. I've always had a strong spiritual life, but to rely on other people for that too, to help refill me. When there were times when I was too scared to speak the words, I let other people speak them. When I was too scared to pray the words, I let other people pray them. And allowing those people to kind of lift me up in that way. It allowed me to be strong. And I think the same is true now. So relying on other people for different things for conference. I have amazing committee chairs, so I've gotten all this stuff together for them and shared with them my hope and dream and vision. And then I'm like, here you go, girls. And they're honored at taking the role. And I'm excited to see what they do with it and how they're going to execute that. And just all the different parts and pieces that are coming together. I think that's kind of allowing other people to hold you up. And then if you're going to have a great team, let them be great, So
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
have to
really, really
trust
lucky.
them.
Yeah. I'm really lucky that I've been surrounded by women who care and that are really great like that. So for me, coping on that would be relying on other people, reaching out to other people. And then also, that was in the beginning. I think now I just don't allow myself to think anything other than what's positive. It's really choosing joy.
Mm.
Earlier today, I saw a post online of a cancer kid. She's forever 12, and there was her mom. It's been several years, but her mom had posted a picture of her, and I ugly cried because I'm fixing to
Aw.
leave my kids tomorrow for 3 weeks. And
Yeah.
I told my daughter when she got home from school, I was like, I almost went and got you from school. Like I almost needed you here, like right now. But
Aw.
um, at the end of the day, I choose joy every day. I know she's here and I get to FaceTime her, I get to call her, I get to come home to her, I get to hug her. And there's a lot of moms that would give anything for that, that have,
Mm.
their forever 12-year-olds or their forever 5-year-olds. And so just always choosing joy and not allowing myself to go down a rabbit hole of negativity. I'm going to choose joy of what I want a girl in the gun to be, what I want to,
Mhm.
who I want to be, other
Mhm.
people. And I think other people want that also. They want to be strong women. They want to be positive women. And so when someone
Mhm.
leads the charge, if you build it,
Mhm.
they will come.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Robyn,
gratitude there too.
Robyn, I've had the opportunity to meet your daughter. She seems like one of the sweetest little ladies people I've ever met. How do you foster that same joy? Right? She seemed like such a sweet, open, just as open-hearted and minded person and kiddo I've ever met. How do you foster that same attitude in somebody so young? What did you do?
Well, we just use a lot of humor. I tell her, everybody's got something. And she lost her vision because of her tumor, so she's blind. And it's hard. It's so hard being a seventh grader that's blind and different from your friends and that can't see what the trends are and can't, you know, there's so many things she can't do, but there's so many things she can do. And I was telling her the other day that someday when she's older, she's going to come to conference. When she's not in school, she'll come to conference and she'll probably help run the pro shop and she can use the scanner and check people out and run the cash register. And she's like, I can do that. I'm like, yeah, it has voiceover technology. You can do that. She's like, I can do that. She's like, maybe people will be surprised I can do that. I'm like, they probably will be, but you know what? You'll show them you can do that. So it's just finding the technology, finding the will. Everybody's got something. I meet women
Mhm.
every day that have some tragedy or some fear or some mountain that they're overcoming, and that's just mine. That's ours. And so um with Kiara, we laugh a lot. we laugh inappropriately about blindness and cancer, and we always giggle that if we're going to commit a crime, she's going to be on lookout, and she's always like, I'll be like, oh man, I forgot to go to Lowe's, and my son's like, let's just break in, and Kira's like, I'll be on lookout. She's like, I'll be like, caca, caca. So we just have really inappropriate jokes about blindness, but it's actually made her, I think, stronger and more confident too as a woman. I want her to know she is her own self-defender. The sexual assault rate of blind females is just staggering. It's like 90%. It's insane. And so I want her to know that she is worth defending, that she can protect herself. It's a mindset really for her that you are going to fight to the finish, that you're not less, you're not disabled, you're not a victim. And so really it's instilling that mindset in her. And she's so amazing. I posted on Facebook, I don't know if y'all saw the post, but she's a cheerleader at her school. She's in her middle school, and she's a cheerleader. And there was some drama, and the other 7th grade cheerleaders didn't want to cheer. And so she said, she goes, well, I didn't see a sign that said no cheering. So she went out there. She goes, I don't see a sign that says no cheering. So she and another girl went out and started cheering, and they did their thing. And I was just so proud of her, because I'm like, no one's going to hold you back,
Yeah.
Just go
So-
do it.
So different avenue of question. Besides the canned answer of you want all the ladies to join, who is it you tend to see join AGAG, right? Who are the people, not only the people you're looking for, but who tends to come to A Girl and a Gun?
It really depends. On the local level, we have a lot of diversity. Most of the time, they're women in their 30s and 40s, professionals. But then we have breakfast and bullets. So we have girls' night out in the evening. In the morning, we have breakfast and bullets, and that's where we might see some retired ladies or stay-at-home moms. We really have a diverse section, and because we offer so much virtual training, ladies can log into our virtual girls' night outs, and those are ladies that might have little ones at home and they can't get out to the range with us, but they still want the information. It ranges across the board. At our national conference, we do have some juniors, we do have some middle of the road, and we do have some older ladies. And at our Fall Fest match too, we host the only all-ladies 3-gun match in the nation, and it's a wide variety there too. We have a lot of our super seniors that are hard chargers, and then we have some of our juniors that are it's really amazing because everyone's different in their journey. The juniors obviously are learning their marksmanship skills, but they don't have the self-defense mindset because it's a game to them. They're gamers.
Right.
They're shooting for fun. And then once they start hitting their 20s, now we're talking about gun ownership with a personal defense mindset. You're going off to college with your situational awareness, and the whole thing shifts. And then as people have kids, now you're thinking about being a defender of your family. And then as people get older, now you might be more vulnerable, or you might have inability to run or do other things. And now what are my safety tools I'm going to use? And so just plugging into where everyone is in their journey, we see it across the board.
So I've had the opportunity and blessing to teach at a bunch of different AGAG chapters, literally around the Western U.S. In fact, I just got back 2 weeks ago from down in Texas, right, with the AGAG chapter down there. Incredible ladies. Here's what I'm noticing. Over and over and over, though they might be gamers, they might be doing it because it's fun, they might be whatever else, there always seems to be the underlying theme of self-defense.
Huh?
Are you noticing the same thing? Is that your goal? Is that your point? It doesn't seem like you're tied into just competition, just this, just that. You're kind of looking at the broader picture, and that's what I'm seeing of all your ladies when I taught in Lufkin and when I'm heading to Missouri and other places. That's what I'm seeing when I'm talking to your girls.
Yeah, I try to plug in self-defense into everything that we do, just because the gun is a tool. It's a great equalizer for women. It's a great skill for these women to have, and for them to recognize all the different uses of it. And shooting is fun, and having a match is fun. It gives you that trigger time. It gives you that, your mag load, your splits are better, and all those things that you can do with unconscious competence. But having that self-defense mindset and that never quit attitude, and that how am I going to have it staged in my home? How am I going to secure this in my home? How am I going to talk about this with other people who might be anti-gun? There's just such a broad spectrum of the things that we talk about all the time. And at the end of the day, it's about being safe and advocating for your family, advocating for our rights. We need everybody on board talking about how we want our rights, or else they're going to be taken from us. So whether you have your firearms for hunting or gaming or recreation or defensive use, we want everyone in that conversation to keep them.
So can I get you to fire yourself from AGAG and come work for Defenders?
No comment. She's
Someday,
not saying
Adam,
anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
we're
he
gonna
left.
be
Why did he leave?
he says that like a mic drop, right? He's just gonna say it and
Yeah,
and bail, right?
and bails out. Yeah. Well, you don't
Yeah.
have to answer. It's okay. But okay.
I
All
love
right.
that we
Well,
can work with each other. We're climbing the mountain together. We've got a
yeah,
lot of
that's true.
people out there that need this message. We've got a lot of people, and I see all the time people who just didn't know they could go to the range. I have women coming in, and we ask them, "Why did you join a Girl and a Gun? Was it the pandemic? Was it the fear of legislation and bans? Was it you got some extra money laying around, or was it just you were bored? Why did you come to a Girl and a Gun?" And more we're hearing that it's because they didn't know they could, that they thought to go to a
Really?
range you had to be an operator, you had to be a cop, you had to be a guy, you had to be in the deer lease with somebody who's had it for generations. A lot of women just didn't know you can go to the range and or go online to agirlandagun.org, find a local chapter, and just show up. It's as
Hmm.
easy as that. There's classes at the range. There's things the range can point you in the right direction. Hopefully, if you have a good community and your range is a good and diverse, open to diversity of different ages, abilities, ethnicities, religious backgrounds. I mean, it takes, you want to go where you're welcome. And I think having a Girl and a Gun in a range
Hmm.
shows right away that that range is a female friendly, diversity friendly, open place for you to go. And so that's where you can go
Yeah.
find training.
Well, I've had a lot of fun with you tonight, Robin. We're coming in towards the end of the broadcast. Are there any parting thoughts you'd like to leave people with before we go into the Q&A?
No, I'm kind of nervous about the Q&A. Like, what is everybody can throw me some softballs? Give me some
I don't know,
softballs, y'all.
you guys yeah, no, you shouldn't be nervous about that at all. No, there's only one question so far, guys. If you have questions for Robin, come on, you've got something you can throw in the comments. We've got her here right now live. I mean, that would be
I
great
don't
to
think
hear
anyone
from
needs
more
to
of you.
ask me a question because I'm kind of an open book. They hear from me all the time.
Right, they probably know most everything about you anyway, but, let's see, let's start with, Clint. Clint wants to know, "My 14-year-old daughter enjoys firearms competition and defensive training. She's becoming a training junkie. How do I, as her father, get her connected to AGAG?"
Awesome. Well, we have youth members, so as long as somebody is old enough to understand the range commands, she can come to our events. She will have to have a guardian with her at all times. So if mom isn't around or an aunt guardian that can come, dad can come, and most of the dads understand our mission and are supportive of that, and they want their daughter to be mentored by other women. So dads keep a low profile, but come out to the range. If there's a local chapter near you, just get in touch with the local facilitator. If there's not a local chapter near you, then find a female instructor in your area and ask her to look into starting in a Girl and Again chapter there. Or you can join our national chapter. We have a virtual chapter for all of our our homeless members across the country. And that way ladies can be connected, still have that community, get all the virtual training, be part of the discussions. You'll get emails from me every Tuesday. You get all of our member perks and discounts, and there's a lot that a Girl and Again members get. And so if you want to be, she could be a youth member and get all that information. So she's getting the knowledge. And then when there is a chapter there, she can jump in and join. She can also come out if she's into competition. She can join us at Fall Fest. If she wants to be a three gunner, we do have
Mm.
Three Gun University. So if she knows how to run a pistol, rifle, shotgun, the 3 days before the match, we teach her how to play the game. So we have a Three Gun University. So all of our ladies can go through that and learn, how to use certain props that are in the match, how to use dumb barrels, how to maybe tackle a certain target array, or just different tips and tactics that you would need in some of the Three Gun stages. But if that interests her, yeah, go to
Mm.
agirlandagun.org/fallfest.
Awesome. Okay, this person wants to know if you have taken your daughter shooting.
Actually, she did shoot with Walt Pruitt Cameo. I was out there taking a
Oh,
long range
really?
class, yes, and, I asked my husband and son if they wanted to take the class with me, with Adam and his Defenders USA team, and while we were up there shooting on the long range, Walt took Kiara to a bay with a 22 rifle, and she shot a little bit. The reason I don't take her to the range too often is because she's lost her vision. Her hearing is super sensitive. She's
Mm.
like, who's the superhero? Wolverine? No, no, Daredevil. Daredevil. She's like Daredevil, so she can hear everything. I mean, when I unwrap a candy bar, like she's here before the dog is. Like she can hear everything. I can't talk about her because she's always like, what were you saying? She hears it. So I have to be really protective of
Mhm.
her hearing, because it's now her primary self-defense situational awareness tool. So that's why I don't bring her to the range very often. But she did shoot with
Mm.
Walt. She sent a round down range and missed, and then hit, and then hit, and then hit. And she was like, okay, I'm good. So she's been shooting.
Finish on a good note.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Adam, you're
You're
muted.
muted.
So, Robyn, years ago, I had a guy who was legally blind. I mean, he truly couldn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
Legally blind. He came to a handgun course, and we ended up doing a private course. And his idea was that if they're in contact with me, and I can feel that they're aggressive, they're violent, they're there to do bad damage to me, then I can therefore legally defend myself. And I can not only defend myself physically, but I can defend myself in the courts of law. And I actually agreed with him. I'd never thought of it at the time. Ended up doing 2 full days of training with him, literally in a wheelchair, completely blind, and he did really well. Can I ask you, from your perspective, is that something that you see as a logical thing for somebody who's
Absolutely.
blind?
Absolutely. It's our Second Amendment right to protect ourselves. And her, if she was to use a firearm in self-defense, she would be legally, morally, ethically responsible for
Yes.
that round, just like I would, just like you would.
Yes.
So yes, absolutely. And blindness is one of those things that it's on a continuum. So Kiara is actually blind. She can see if the light is on or off in one eye. She can see a little bit of light, but she can't see anything. Whereas most people can see, if they have peripheral vision or tunnel vision, or not in the middle, or a different levels of vision. So it's not up to the Constitution says you have the right to protect yourself. The right shall not be infringed. So it's not to say if you can see this distance or this ability, or that's just not appropriate. The fact that we're all responsible for those rounds is what matters. And for her too, we I know that we're running short on time, but
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I had never met anybody who was blind before, ever, my whole life. And one time I had been at the range and saw this guy come in with his white cane, and we were at an indoor range, and I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, what if there's a ricochet? What if there are you I was nervous about it. And I talked to a friend, and yeah, it's his Second Amendment right. And I was like, okay, I'll chew on that for a little while. And then a few years later, we had a woman come to a Girl in the Gun. She was a Girl Gun member. She came to conference. She actually came to 3 different conferences. Her name is Melissa, and she's
Wow.
blind. She's in her 50s. She's been blind her whole life. She's from New
Wow.
York, and she wanted a way to defend herself. And she was an amazing shooter. She was very situationally aware. She knew exactly what was going on. She was a good listener. She was listening to the instructor and followed range commands very well. And all of my instructors that had her at conference said I would take a whole line of women like her. She was really attentive and very skilled. So it happened to be on the day that the doctors, when they did Kira's first surgery, they thought she might have a temporary vision loss. And about 2 months later, they were like, oh, this is not coming back ever.
Mm.
And that was a shock. We weren't prepared for that. And so the day that I got the diagnosis, the day that we met with the ophthalmologist, and I had been reading all these blogs and all these things online, and they said, they don't want to say blindness. They just, they'll use euphemisms. And so I just flat out asked, is this blindness? And she said, yes. And I went home and I'm like, okay, how are we going to deal with this? What does that mean? And that day, Melissa sent me an email, and she said, hey, you've been on my mind, and I just wanted you to know I just got back from Cancun. I went on a scuba trip, and everybody went to her. I could hear the coral hissing, and everyone was like, what did you feel? And she's like, I knew I could hear different sounds the coral was making. So the entire scuba group went back down to experience it her way. Just this whole thing about what a great trip she had. And I said, it's crazy that you wrote me today. I just got this news. And she said, I'm not a parent, and I'm not going to tell you what to do or offer you advice. And I said, please offer me advice. And she gave me the best advice as starting that journey and how to best advocate for Kiara for mobility and literacy to make sure that she can have all the opportunities in the world. And had I not met her through a Girl in the Gun, had I not met her on the range, had she not emailed me that day, I mean, these are people that are placed in your life for a reason.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I know my daughter can do anything because I've seen other people do anything.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, when I got this guy who begged me for training, at first I kind of did the conventional wisdom of he's blind, don't train him. And then immediately I thought like you did that he deserves defense as much, if not more, than anybody else.
Yes.
and who's going to become the victim of crime? Somebody who's less disabled than somebody who's more able. And so I trained him, and then almost for a while I kind of kept quiet about it, because when I would talk about it, it seemed like there was condemnation from so many of the training crowd. Yet
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking he needs it more than anybody else, and it became a thing to where if you have any disability whatsoever, I desperately want to train you, or somebody like me should find you and get the training into you. So it's interesting to hear a perspective, and I'm glad to think that we're walking the same path.
Yeah, we have a lot of blind shooters that whenever someone does something at the range that's really amazing or they want to be cheered on, I
Yeah.
get a lot of emails talking about that just because I do a lot of braille advocacy and blindness advocacy. And we actually just had a member in one of our Houston chapters pass her LTC qual with a nearly perfect score, and everybody cheered for her. It's just really incredible. Like you said, especially their victimization rates are staggering. If you can't identify who's coming for you and you can't see them coming, I mean, we want everybody 21 feet away, and they don't know until someone's touching them, and that's 21 feet
Mhm.
close. So they need all the tools in their toolbox.
Amen. Okay.
Absolutely. You just never know when he's gonna pop in or not. It's kind of fun. Keeps me on my toes. Okay, so I have 2 questions. They're related. One person wants to know the age of the eldest AGAG member, and the other person asks who's the youngest. So, what are the age ranges?
Well, I would say our youngest is probably Esme, who's Tatiana Whitlock's daughter. She was just born. So, uh, Tatiana is our director of training, and so Esme will be at conference. She's itty bitty. Usually, our youth members start around age 8. There are a couple that are younger. It really depends on the maturity of the child, if they can follow range commands. If they can obey range commands and have a mature understanding of what's happening, then they can train with us. And that could be 8, it could be younger, maybe not till 11, depending on the maturity of that child, maybe not even till later. So it really just is kind of individual. As for the oldest, I know that we have some ladies in their 80s. Um, I wouldn't surprise me if we had 80 ladies in their 90s. I don't know. I know we have a lot of super 70s, and they're
Super
amazing.
70s. I love that.
Yeah, I would say that probably ladies in their 90s. And what's amazing is during the COVID pandemic, we lost some of our older members, and
Mm,
their children sent us their obituaries. And in the 500 words of someone's life, a girl in a gun was 5 of those words. It meant that much to them to have that
mm.
community and that empowerment. And that's just the most amazing thing.
That is so powerful. Wow. Let's see. We've got a couple more here. Thanks, guys, for typing in your questions. I appreciate you. Scott wants to know how many members are there, or how many members and chapters are active?
So we have about 300 chapters across the country. Uh, there's 300 ranges, so about 280 chapters. Some of them use multiple ranges. And then members, we have members in all 50 states. Membership is one of those things that kind of plateaus because as new ladies come in, other ladies don't renew, other people do renew. We usually hover between 7,000 to 8,000 active members at any time. In our membership database over the past 12 years, I think we have 32,000 women that still get our newsletters and follow up with us and come out and train with us. Last year we trained 38,000 women. That was 38,000 waivers that were submitted for our events. So
Wow, that's
there's about 7,000 card carrying members out there. So yeah, if you want to support us and be a part of us and be a card carrying member, please sign up.
all right. And I'm sure Adam typed this one in. How do you maintain balance in an overly busy and heavily traveled life?
What's balance? I don't know. I drink a lot of White Monster. Monster, if you're out there, you can be a sponsor. Yeah, no. I balance would just be um, every day I get up and I think, okay, let's do it. I hit the floor and say,
Yeah,
it's time to slay, it's time to beast. So
yeah.
um, I'm really grateful that I get to wear all the hats. So I do some customer service, I do some finance, I do some marketing, I do some, all the different
You
things. So
never
it's
get
never
bored.
boring. It's never boring. And especially with conference coming up, there's very little sleep the past few weeks, but it'll be worth it when I see my girls.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny that you mentioned what's balance because Adam and I had this conversation just today about, well, and I had said that, everybody talks about how we need to be so balanced in all these things. And while I believe that, I don't always live my life completely balanced. One day I'm really passionate and going for this thing, and the next thing it's over here. And I think that's okay, right? I mean, I
Well, I
love
feel
the
like
slay
I
the
don't have
dragon thing that you said.
well, I think for men, maybe they can compartmentalize a little better, or for different people who have different careers, you can walk out of the
Mhm.
office and turn it off. But for me, my, gun rights is my passion. Um, I giggle because I see people I haven't seen in 30 years, and I tell my husband, I'm like, oh my gosh, I only know how to talk about guns and blindness and cancer. Like I can work that in. I can work pediatric brain cancer into any conversation. Like you talk about the weather, and I throw in Second Amendment rights. Like it's just part
Yeah,
of who I am. And so there's
yeah.
not a clock off and just be a mom time. Even with my kids, I'm talking about, Cooper's color codes, and it's just on all the time.
I love that. Well,
There's
we are running into our mark. I'm sure, Robin, you have, I don't know, maybe you have some packing to do perhaps before your early
yeah.
flight tomorrow morning. But gosh, we so appreciate your time. I can't thank you enough for coming on tonight. We've had so much fun with you, and I hope to have you back sometime. And we didn't have any technical difficulties this time, so it's a win.
Right? Look at that. Super smooth. Y'all are experts
I
now.
know. We're getting better every time. Trying
Well,
anyway.
I hope someday you'll be able to make it to conference. Adam, I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. And everybody watching, thank you for your support.
All right. Thank you, Robin. I'll be in touch. Hey, don't leave the studio. Stay in the green room and I'll be there in a minute.
Okay.
All right, guys. So let's wrap up here for tonight. I want to tell you what you can expect for next week. We are going to have Akil Kadar. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but I'm pretty sure I said it right. Akil Kadar, Kadir. Maybe it's Kadir. Anyway, Robin probably knows how to say it. Anyway, Akil is the founder and lead instructor of Citizen Safety Academy. His background is as a firearms instructor, started at age 12, teaching urban youth in his father's gun club. He followed in his father's footsteps, becoming an NRA certified instructor at the age of 22. He's been training civilians for over 30 years and training law enforcement for 25. His passion is teaching regular people how to keep themselves and their families safe. So we see an ongoing theme in all of the people that we have on. Great hearts, great quality of people. And hey, guys, if you find value in what we're doing here at Defenders Live and you want to help out, we could sure use some help. So go to defenders-live.com, go to the partners page. And if you don't want to contribute on a monthly or a one-time basis there on the homepage, you can go to that partners page, and anything that you purchase from that partners page will help Defenders Live and it'll help the great people that we're partnering with. So anyway, we are looking forward to next week with Akil, and we hope to see you then. It'll be Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. We'll see you then. Until then, take care.